time than the thyroid hormones also. So no. Anyone tell me what are the hormones that are secreted by the pituitary gland from both from the anterior pituitary as well as the posterior pituitary? The answer diba. Abhishek Yadav. Abhishek Yadav, roll 63 from Nepal. Can you tell me what the hormones are from anterior pituitary and posterior pituitary? Go on. First, the anterior pituitary hormones. Yes. Growth hormone, thyroid. And the final one. Yes, and what is the last one? Prolactin. And what about the posterior pituitary hormones? Antidiuretic hormone and oxytocin. Onima Devnath, roll 84. You tell me where the posterior pituitary hormones are synthesized. অনিমা দেবনাথ, তুমি আমাকে বলো posterior pituitary hormone গুলা কোথায় তৈরি হয়? Where are the posterior pituitary hormones ADH and oxytocin synthesized? অনিমা দেবনাথ আছো না নাই?
স্যার আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
ওয়ালাইকুম আসসালাম। হ্যাঁ
জি স্যার। স্যার আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
হ্যাঁ শুনছি, সালাম। ওয়ালাইকুম আসসালাম।
স্যার হাইপোথ্যালামাস।
হাইপোথ্যালামাসের কোথায়? Where in hypothalamus? There are
sir, paraventricular nuclei.
And paraventricular nucleus are supra. পড়াশোনার তো দেখি 12টা বাজছে তোমাদের। হ্যাঁ
সুপ্রাঅপটিক নিউক্লিয়াস।
এতক্ষণ লাগলো কেন বলতে? এত সময় লাগলো কেন সুপ্রাঅপটিক নিউক্লিয়াসের কথা? সব খেয়ে ফেলছো? সুপ্রাঅপটিক নিউক্লিয়াস এন্ড প্যারাভেন্ট্রিকুলার নিউক্লিয়াস। তোমরা তো এখন যদি কলেজ খুলে, এখন যদি ঢাকা ইউনিভার্সিটি পরীক্ষারই দেয়, শিডিউল দিয়ে দেয়, তাহলে তো একেবারে ডাহা ফেল করবো। পড়াশোনার এই অবস্থা কেন? So the posterior pituitary hormones both are neuropeptides. The posterior pituitary hormones are neuropeptides and they are synthesized by the hypothalamic, supraoptic and paraventricular nuclei. After being synthesized in the neuronal cell bodies, they are transported down the hypothalamo-pituitary stalk down to the axon terminals located in the posterior pituitary. নিউরনের সেল বডিতে তৈরি হয়। নিউরন গুলা কোথায় থাকে? সুপ্রাঅপটিক এন্ড প্যারাভেন্ট্রিকুলার নিউক্লিয়াসের মধ্যে সেল বডিতে তৈরি হয় এবং আফটার বিং সিনথেসাইজড দ্য neurons are packaged, the neuropeptides are packaged in vesicles and the vesicles are transported down the axons into the posterior pituitary. Okay, the axons make up the bundle what is known as the hypothalamo-pituitary stalk. And the axon terminals are located in the posterior pituitary. So the vesicles containing the ADH and oxytocin are temporarily stored in the axon terminals in the pituitary, posterior pituitary, until a stimulus causes them to be secreted. ঠিক আছে? আচ্ছা, anterior pituitary হরমোন গুলা কেমিক্যাল স্ট্রাকচার অনুযায়ী কি ধরনের হরমোন? আনাম ইকবাল, roll 18. The anterior pituitary hormones, according to chemical structure, what type of hormones are they? Anam Iqbal, if you are there. Anam, are you there or not? কথা বলে না। ফারিয়া হক ফারিন, রোল 82, আছো না নাই? যদি কথা শুনো তাহলে আমাকে অ্যান্সার দাও যে অ্যান্টেরিয়র পিটুইটারি হরমোন গুলা কেমিক্যাল স্ট্রাকচার অনুযায়ী কি ধরনের হরমোন এবং
স্যার আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
ওয়ালাইকুম আসসালাম, এবং কোন ধরনের সেলে তৈরি হয় বলো।
স্যার they are protein and polypeptide hormones.
Very good. In which type of cell are each of these hormones synthesized? গ্রোথ হরমোন কোথায় তৈরি
Sir.
হয়? হ্যাঁ বলো।
Sir, somatotrophs.
গুড। বাকিগুলা?
Then sir
TSH.
হচ্ছে the thyroid stimulating hormones are thyrotropes. Sir, then sir adrenocorticotropic hormones are corticotropes. Then sir luteinizing hormone and follicle-stimulating hormone in the sir gonadotropes.
Yes. And prolactin?
Sir prolactin in the sir lactotropes.
Prolactin in lactotropes or mammotropes. Okay, very good. আচ্ছা, এখন পরের কোশ্চেন, name the anterior pituitary hormones হয়ে গেছে, list the hormone secreting cells of the anterior pituitary gland with their hormones, এটাও হয়ে গেছে, name the hormone secreted by pituitary। আচ্ছা, এখন আমাকে একজন বলো the functions of growth hormone, কে বলবা? What are the functions of growth hormone? Shahida Akhtar Ruma, roll 75.
Assalamualaikum, sir.
Walaikum Assalam. Walaikum Assalam. Tell me the functions of growth hormone.
Sir, promotes growth of body tissue, which increase size and number of cells. And second, stimulates bone and cartilage growth, increased deposition of protein by the chondrocyte and osteogenic cells, increased rate of reproduction of this cell, converts chondrocytes into osteogenic cells.
Yes,
Metabolic
very good.
function, promotes protein synthesis, increased amino acid transport through the cell membrane, increased RNA translation, decreased catabolism of protein. Then growth hormone enhance fat.
আচ্ছা, RNA translation বললাম, DNA transcription বাড়ায় না?
হ্যাঁ স্যার, DNA transcription of DNA to form RNA.
হ্যাঁ, আর after transcription it also increases translation of messenger RNA. So as a whole it increases the synthesis of protein.
জি স্যার।
একদিকে প্রোটিন বিল্ড আপের প্রোটিন তৈরি করার জন্য যে র ম্যাটেরিয়াল গুলো অ্যামাইনো অ্যাসিড, গ্রোথ হরমোন ইনক্রিজেস দ্য আপটেক অফ অ্যামাইনো অ্যাসিডস, র ম্যাটেরিয়ালের অ্যাভেলেবিলিটি বাড়াচ্ছে। আর প্রোটিন তৈরি করার জন্য যে মেকানিজমটা, the processes of transcription of DNA to RNA, mRNA, and the process of translation of mRNA to the pre-hormone, pre-protein, এটাও ইনক্রিজ করতেছে। এটা গেল সিনথেসিসের বেলা। What about the effect on protein breakdown?
স্যার ডিক্রিজ করবে সেটা।
Decreases protein breakdown. So overall, the growth hormone increases protein content in the cell, protein content in the body, right? And protein, we know, is the building block of our body. The proteins are building blocks of our body. So protein যদি বাড়ে তাহলে আমাদের বডির প্রত্যেকটা সেলের অর্গানের গ্রোথের মানে গ্রোথ বেড়ে যাবে, টিস্যুর গ্রোথ বেড়ে যাবে, and the body will as a whole grow. This is why it is called growth hormone. ঠিক আছে? আচ্ছা, এরপরে আসো, what about its effect on carbohydrate metabolism and fat metabolism? আচ্ছা তুমি না, আচ্ছা তুমি চুপ থাকো, এই কোশ্চেনটা অন্য কাউকে করি। তাহা পীরজাদা, roll 77. Can you tell me the metabolic effects of growth hormone on carbohydrate and fat metabolism? Taha Pizada.
Yes, sir. Sir, on
Go on.
carbohydrate, it will decrease the carbohydrate utilization. It will decrease the glucose uptake by the cell, and it will cause the increase insulin secretion, and it will also call increase glucose production by the liver. So that will increase the blood glucose level.
And what about its
স্যার
effect on
স্যার
fat?
স্যার অনেক কি ওয়েটিং এ আছে
আচ্ছা, ঠিক আছে।
Sir, and fat, it will enhance the fat utilization for energy. It will cause more release of the fatty acids from the adipose tissue, and it will also cause increase in the conversion of fatty acid to acetyl CoA, and then utilize that for energy.
So it preferentially utilizes fat for energy instead of carbohydrate, right? It does not utilize carbohydrate for energy. It breaks down fat for energy, which is why growth hormone causes a lean body mass. Growth hormone, increased activity of growth hormone results in a lean body mass. What do we mean by lean body mass?
So lean body, as in the muscular growth is less.
Muscular growth is less. Really?
So,
What does the word lean mean?
so
Lean, L-E-A-N. What does it mean? When we say that boy is very lean and thin, it means he's both lean as well as thin. Now, what does lean mean and what does thin mean? Lean means he has no fat on his body, and thin means his muscles have not developed. That's what lean and thin means. A lean and thin boy has no fat and very little muscle. Okay. Because growth hormone utilizes fat for energy in preference to carbohydrate, it burns up most of the fat of the body. And because of the activity of growth hormone, there is increased protein deposition in the body. So the muscles and all the other tissues are bulked up. But there is minimal fat, which is why the person looks very lean. Lean means he has minimal fat. He has well-defined muscle, but less fat, which is why it is called lean body mass. Okay. The way that bodybuilders look, the way that gym rats look. What is a gym rat? What is a gym rat? Okay. So these are the metabolic effects of growth hormone. Okay.
it's a person who spends
Now,
more time in gym.
yeah, who spends a lot of time in gym. Okay, who gets addicted to gym activity. Okay, what about what do you mean by pituitary diabetes? Okay, answer Diva. What is pituitary diabetes? Muqaddas Fayaz. What is pituitary diabetes? Roll 19, Muqaddas. Are you there? Okay, roll.
Yes, sir.
What is pituitary diabetes?
So, pituitary diabetes.
Yes, pituitary diabetes.
So I don't remember.
Naim Iqbal Karim, do you remember?
Yes, Assalamualaikum, sir. So diabetes
Walaikum salam.
insipidus due to lack of
Diabetes insipidus due to lack of?
ADH secretions.
That is diabetes insipidus. That is not. Pituitary diabetes is a form of diabetes mellitus, not insipidus.
Okay, sir.
So what is pituitary diabetes? কে বলতে পারবা? ফাতিমা পারবা?
Sir,
ওয়ালাইকুম আসসালাম, বলো।
Sir, growth hormone is a diabetogenic hormone, which means that it will decrease the glucose uptake by the cell and increase glucose production by the cell. As a result,
Yes.
the blood glucose level will be increased in their body, and this will also cause increased insulin secretion in the body. If the increased insulin
Does it happen with normal growth hormone levels? What do you think?
No, sir, it
Does
doesn't
PT
normally.
When the growth
happen.
hormone levels are normal within physiological limits, does pituitary diabetes occur?
No, sir. When it's
No.
more than normal.
When it usually occurs when there is greater than normal levels of growth hormone circulating. Very good. Okay, thank you. And so the next question. Growth hormone promotes its growth promoting effect, not alone. Growth hormone promotes its growth promoting effect, not alone, but in combination with other chemical substances. Khushbu Tiwari, role 40. Can you tell me what other substance or substances help growth hormone in its growth promoting effect? Khushbu Tiwari, role 40 from Nepal. Answer me. Khushbu, are you there? Seems like she isn't. Oppo 5K, Oppo F5, who are you? Oppo F5. It's not a name. It's not the name of a person. It's the name of a phone. Who is Oppo F5? Oppo F5. Asona nai. Awa. Ase. Okay. Sadia Salsabil. তুমি আনসার দাও এই কোশ্চেনটা যেটা মাত্র করলাম।
Assalamualaikum, sir.
ওয়ালাইকুম আসসালাম, বলো। গ্রোথ হরমোনের যে গ্রোথ প্রমোটিং এফেক্ট, গ্রোথ হরমোনের একটা এফেক্ট হচ্ছে ইট কজেস গ্রোথ অফ growing tissues, right? Without growth hormone, we know that the person, without secretion of growth hormone, a person will become a dwarf if in adolescence. Now, growth hormone একটা function হচ্ছে it promotes growth, and it does so by increasing protein synthesis. আমার question হচ্ছে growth hormone, growth promoting effect, it cannot perform its growth by itself alone. It needs some other chemical substances in the body to assist it in growth. So what are those chemical substances? বলতে পারছি না। Raj Shrestha, can you tell me? Raj Shrestha from Nepal. Or are you from India?
Yes, sir.
Yes. What are the substances that help growth hormone in its growth function?
That have somatomedins.
Somatomedins. Good. এখন সাদিয়া সালসাবিল, তুমি আমাকে বলো, what do you mean by Levy-Lorraine dwarf?
Yes, sir.
What do you mean by Levy-Lorraine dwarf? দেখি তোমার মনে আছে কিনা।
No, sir.
পারবানা? পূজা, রোল 7। রোল 7, পূজা আছো? তুমি আমাকে
Yes,
বলো
sir.
লেভি-লরেইন ডোয়ার্ফ কি? লেভিলোরেইন ডোয়ার্ফ কি বলো? হাওয়া হাওয়া
Sir,
তাসনিম, হ্যাঁ বলো।
sir, growth hormone will be normal, but somatostatin C will be deficiency.
There will be deficiency of somatomedin C. এর আরেক নাম কি? What is the other name for somatomedin C?
Yes, sir.
What is IGF? What is IGF?
Somatomedin C.
হ্যাঁ, জানো না? ইনসুলিন লাইক গ্রোথ ফ্যাক্টর নাম শুনছো?
Yes, sir.
পরিচয় আছে?
মনে-
কখনো পরিচয় মনে পড়ছে, মনে ছিল, একটু উঠে গেছিল, এখন পড়ছে না? আচ্ছা, গুড। মন থেকেও কমপ্লিটলি উঠে না গেলেই হইল। একটু
The people in the waiting list.
পিপল ইন দ্য ওয়েটিং লিস্ট। ওয়েটিং লিস্টে থেকে লাভ কি? পড়াশোনা তো করো না। বিশাল, ওয়েটিং লিস্টে থেকে লাভটা কি? পড়াশোনা তো হয় না তোমাদের। তাই তোমরা এক কাজ করবা, এখন থেকে ফার্স্ট ইয়ারের লেকচার ক্লাসগুলো, ফার্স্ট ইয়ারের জন্য যে লেকচার ক্লাসগুলো হচ্ছে ওগুলো তোমরাও অ্যাটেন্ড করবা। তোমরা কোনো পড়াশোনা করতেছো না, ফিজিওলজি লেকচার ক্লাস তোমরা অ্যাটেন্ড করবা রেগুলার, অন্তত বি ইন টাচ উইথ দ্য টপিকস। বুঝতে পারছো? বুঝছো না বুঝো নাই? কথা বলে না কেউ, পড়াশোনা
জি,
করার
স্যার।
কোনো ইচ্ছা নেই। আচ্ছা, গুড। ফার্স্ট ইয়ারের লেকচার ক্লাস অ্যাটেন্ড করবা রেগুলার, আদারওয়াইজ তোমাদের পড়াশোনা অলরেডি লাটে উঠছে, এরপরে লাট থেকে কই উঠবে আল্লাহ জানে। এনিওয়ে, সো গ্রোথ হরমোনের ডেফিসিয়েন্সিতে ডোয়ার্ফিজম হয়। আচ্ছা, what are the effects of excess secretion of growth hormone? What are the effects of excess secretion of growth hormone? বিশাল ও জাস্ট কই গেল? ওকে না জয়েন করাইলাম? Where is he? Vishal Raj Yadav, roll 64. You tell me. তোমার তো মাইক্রোফোনই নাই। ওকে, তাসনিম জাহান হিনা, রোল 6। তাসনিম জাহান হিনা, তুমি আমাকে বলো যে গ্রোথ হরমোনের এক্সেস সিক্রেশনে কি সমস্যা হয়?
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
ওয়ালাইকুম আসসালাম। Tell me, what are the effects of excess secretion of growth hormone?
Sir, giantism and acromegaly.
The word is not giantism, it is gigantism. The word is gigantism.
Yes, sir. Gigantism and acromegaly.
Gigantism and acromegaly. কোনটা কখন হয়? When does gigantism occur? When does acromegaly occur?
Sir, before adolescence হয় gigantism.
আর
after adolescence হয় acromegaly.
অ্যাকচুয়ালি টার্মটা অ্যাডোলেসেন্স না, বিফোর অ্যাডোলেসেন্স অথবা ডিউরিং অ্যাডোলেসেন্স যদি হয় তাহলে ইট উইল রেজাল্ট ইন, if there is excess secretion of growth hormone by the pituitary, anterior pituitary, during or before adolescence, তাহলে it will result in gigantism. এখন টার্মটা হবে বিফোর epiphyseal fusion and after epiphyseal fusion. ঠিক আছে? not the
Yes.
word adolescence. এই টার্মটা হবে বিফোর epiphyseal fusion or after epiphyseal fusion. ঠিক আছে? কারণ অ্যাডোলেসেন্সের সময়ও before epiphyseal fusion during the period of adolescence যদি growth hormone secretion বাড়ে তাহলেও কিন্তু gigantism হবে। সো আমরা যদি বিফোর বলি আফটার বলি তাহলে ডিউরিং যদি হয় তাহলে কি হবে? সো এটাকে ডিমার্কেট করার জন্য বেটার অ্যান্সার হচ্ছে বিফোর epiphyseal fusion and after epiphyseal fusion of the long bones of the body। ঠিক আছে? So after epiphyseal fusion it will result in acromegaly and before epiphyseal fusion it will result in gigantism. Now what are the features of এটা আরেকজন অ্যান্সার দাও। আরিফুল ইসলাম নিলয় রোল 80। আরিফুল ইসলাম নিলয় রোল 80 তুমি আমাকে বলো what are the features of acromegaly? আরিফুল ইসলাম নিলয় রোল 80 আরিফুল ইসলাম নিলয় কথা বলো। হ্যাঁ
আসসালামু আলাইকুম স্যার।
বলো। ওয়ালাইকুম আসসালাম। তুমি আমাকে বলো what are the features of acromegaly?
Sir, hand and foot will be enlarged.
Yes, hands and feet will be enlarged.
But sir, epiphyseal ridge will be enlarged.
কি ridge? কি ridge বললা? What ridge did you say? Epiphyseal ridge কি জিনিস? চোখের উপরে অরবিটের উপরে যেই ridge supraorbital ridge, epiphyseal ridge না। Supraorbital ridge will be protruded, enlarged না, protruded. আর কি হবে?
Sir, kyphosis.
Kyphosis, okay. What about the lower jaw? What about the bridge of the nose?
Sir, lower jaw will be protruded.
কি বলে এটাকে? Protrusion of lower jaw, এটাকে একটা টার্ম দিয়ে ডিসক্রাইব করা যায়। কি টার্ম সেটা?
Sir,
Arshi, what is that term? Protrusion of lower jaw. Roll 34. What is protrusion of lower jaw called? That 2G internet. 2G কি 1.2G তে নেমে গেছে নাকি? আচ্ছা, the term is prognathism. In acromegaly there are both disproportionate growth of the small bones of the skeleton as well as the soft tissues. The long bones cannot grow because epiphyseal fusion has already taken place. But even though they cannot grow in length, they can grow in their thickness, in breadth. So the long bones, especially the short long bones, they grow to quite an increased thickness, as a result of which the hands and feet become enlarged disproportionate to the body. The hands and feet are disproportionately enlarged to the rest of the body. There is protrusion of the supraorbital ridge. There is protrusion or enlargement of the supraorbital ridge because the flat bones continue to grow. There is protrusion of the lower jaw. The lower jaw protrudes ahead of the upper jaw and results in a condition that is known as prognathism. There is widening of the nasal bridge. Nasal bridge is the part of the nose in between the eyes. The part of the nose that is located in between the two eyes is called the nasal bridge, and the nasal bridge, which is made up of flat bones, are widened. Okay. Then there is increased growth of soft tissue. Because of excess secretion of growth hormone, there occurs continuous growth of the soft tissue. There is continuous deposition of protein in the cells. There is continuous growth, that is hypertrophy as well as hyperplasia of growing of the cells in the different soft tissues, as a result of which there occurs enlargement of the tongue, that is called macroglossia, enlargement of the tongue. There is increased thickening of the lips, the upper and lower lips. Thickening of the lips results in, normally the Chinese people or the Caucasian people have thin or average lips, that is thin lips or lips that are average in thickness. But black people, Negroids, they have very thick lips, mostly. So when acromegaly occurs, even in a person who is not black, who is not of Negroid heritage, acromegaly results in thickening of the lips so that it resembles lips of Negro people, okay, black people. So there is macroglossia, there is thickening of the lips, there is visceromegaly, increased growth of the internal organs, there is enlargement of the liver, there is enlargement of the spleen, the kidneys grow in size, and other tissues. The heart is enlarged in size, which is called cardiomegaly. So there occurs enlargement of the different internal soft tissues. So these are the features of acromegaly. In acromegaly, the growth of the hands and feet are disproportionate to the growth of the rest of the skeletal system. But in case of gigantism, since the excess secretion is taking place before epiphyseal fusion of the long bones, in gigantism, the whole skeleton grows proportionately. The whole skeletal system, both the long bones, the short long bones, long bones, short long bones, and the flat bones, all of them grow proportionately before epiphyseal fusion takes place. So it results in the person growing to very tall stature. So the persons are, they resemble giants, which is why they are called, the condition is called gigantism. In gigantism, all the tissues are proportionately enlarged. But giant people usually do not live, usually, I'm not saying always, usually they do not live beyond their third or in some cases their fourth decade of life. In most cases, they die within a few years of 30 years of age. 30 বছর বয়সের আগে পিছনে তারা দেখা যায় যে মারা যাচ্ছে কেন? Because the demand for the enlarged tissues are great. The demand for all the tissues for nutrition and oxygen, and the demand for removal of waste materials, all of them are great compared to normal people. And the heart cannot cope. One thing is that the heart cannot cope up with all these activities. And the other is because of increased secretion of growth hormone, the person suffers from diabetes. And diabetes, we know, affects most of the tissues, especially the neural tissue, the vessels, and most of the other tissues of the body, they're affected by diabetes. So the person does not live a very healthy life. Gradually, the health worsens and worsens until the person dies. This is what happens in gigantism. In absence of growth hormone or in deficiency of growth hormone, during or before adolescence, the person grows up to be a dwarf, which is called a pituitary dwarf. Pituitary dwarf is differentiated from thyroid dwarf by their in case of thyroid dwarf, condition is called cretinism. Persons who are of short stature due to deficiency of thyroid hormone, they are known as cretins. The condition is called cretinism. But in people who have not grown to very tall stature, not very tall, they have not grown at all, who are of short stature, is due to decreased secretion of growth hormone during or before adolescence. Now, the difference between these two, pituitary dwarf and cretinism, is that in pituitary dwarf, the cerebration, the development of the brain is normal. The development of the brain system is normal, neural system is normal. Yes, the cerebration is normal. But in case of thyroid dwarf, or rather cretin, both the physical as well as the mental or brain development is suppressed, depressed. So even if a person is, in case of a cretin person, even if the person is say 30 or 25 or 30 or 35 years old, he or she has a mental state of that of a child. It would be of say 8, 10 or 12 years. So this is what happens in dwarf people. Dwarfism is in most cases due to pituitary hormone inability or decreased secretion of growth hormone by the pituitary, but sometimes pituitary secretes adequate quantities of growth hormone, yet the person is a dwarf because of deficiency of other substances such as insulin-like growth factors that help promote or that help growth hormone in their growth promoting effects. Lack of those chemicals result in dwarfism that is called Levy-Lorraine dwarf. This happens in if any of us in our তোমাদের মধ্যে তোমাদের ক্লাসে যতজন মানুষ আছে যতজন স্টুডেন্ট আছে তোমাদের মধ্যে হঠাৎ করে কারো মানে during adolescence if any one of you had insulin-like growth factor deficiency, it would have led to Levy-Lorraine dwarfism. But insulin-like growth factor deficiency is genetic in one race of people, in one tribe of people that are called pygmies.